What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Woman Intentionally podcast. If you are not aware, I am the host of this podcast, Whitney Kilgore. And my goal with this podcast is to just have conversations with other women and hopefully inspire you to be a little bit more intentional about life, about your faith journey, about who you are as a woman, and all of those things. So tonight, I have a very special guest. I feel like she is like the queen of authenticity. So I think you guys are gonna gain a lot from this episode. I wanted this to be fun, just real laid back, because you know how we do. That's what you're gonna get here. So hopefully, if you have questions, make sure you ask them. I want y'all to share with us maybe some of the things that make you hesitant about taking your walk with God seriously, some of the things that kind of make you turn away from, even giving him a chance. And then, like, share with us how you are showing up authentically in your walk with God. So that's what we're talking about tonight. So I'm going to introduce you guys to my guest, and her name is Brittany White.
Hey, y'all. Hey.
Britt, how are you today?
I am blessed.
Oh,
Blessed college favorite.
yes. Listen, if y'all don't know, I shared one of Brittany's her TikToks on my page today. It was Throwback Thursday, and she did Missy Elliott. And girl, what got me is the dance moves. All that was spot on. And so I just, you got the moves, girl. You had the hair, the outfit, and everything. And that's just a true testament of you being yourself and like making it relevant to all of us to be able to relate to today.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's one of the things I enjoy is making videos and just making people laugh and just having fun. Having
So,
fun.
so how did you get into that? Is that like, have you always been that way? Just the person who's always just the life of the party, always gonna have people laughing, or did you kind of have to come out of your shell to do that?
You know what? I think I've always been that way. I've always been a dramatic child. Like I've always loved to like act and write plays, and I would, write little skits for my cousins and stuff to be in, and my brothers, and then also I come from a very funny family. Like I don't even think I'm the funniest person in my family. Like growing up with my brothers and my cousins, like you had to have a sense of humor. You had to have a thick skin, which is why I could put myself out there and look crazy and goofy and laugh at myself because
Yeah.
that's what we did growing up. So yeah, it's something that I've always loved to do. Of course, as you get older, you kind of get self-conscious. I kind of went through, how I was like, oh, I'm too cool. I don't want to, laugh
Mhm.
and be silly. And now I'm just like, whatever. Like
They gonna get it. They are gonna get it.
you gotta get it. So yeah, it's always been in there though.
Okay. All right. Tonight we're talking about and me and you talked, had our own little conversation. I was like, girl, we have to have this conversation because I feel like in Christianity, so many people are afraid to just be themselves. Now, some
Right,
things I can understand why we want to, keep under wraps because maybe we know that we ain't doing right for the Lord. You
right,
know what I'm saying?
right.
We don't want to put it out there and we're working on some things. But there's also a side of us that a side of people who probably feel like, man, who I am is not what the church says that I'm how I'm supposed to be, or I'm not supposed to be funny, or I can't take this song and do it this way and things like that. Do you feel like that's something that you had to overcome in trying to show up as who you are, walking out this faith journey?
Yeah, it's definitely something that I had to overcome. Because like you said, sometimes people will judge and will, think certain things, but I know again it goes back to the authenticity. Like I know who I am. I know, who God has called me to be. I know, who it is that I'm called to reach, which is why I like to take, popular songs like, the Missy Elliott song and put like a Christian spin on it. To kind of, bridge that gap. So yeah, that's what I was called to do, and that's what I'm, confident in doing.
Yeah, and not everybody can do it. Some people we ain't got it, girl. But you just came out of the world with the lyrics and the words, and it just go. So, girl, he gave you that for a reason.
Thank you. And like I said, it's all about just I like to reach people, all people,
Yeah.
and whether you're saved or unsaved, like who Missy Elliott is, who the song, Hot Boys is. So it's like and some of us saints, we try to act like we've been saved all our life. We ain't been saved all our life. Like, we know,
I'm
Hot
feeling it,
Boys, and that, yeah, like we know who Missy Elliott is, and for the people that aren't saved, they'll hear it. I'm like, oh, I know who that song. They may not know who the church songs, the hymnals, but they know Hot Boys. So to kind of put a little, Christian twist on it, and make people laugh at the same time. So to me, that's a form of keeping it authentic, y'all. Okay, we just go.
We gonna keep it authentic.
Real, okay? Because the devil is yeah, we're not even gonna do this whole time. He tried.
Yeah.
But,
yes, girl.
But so that's what I was saying.
And that's and look, we was talking about this on our phone call, just like being able to do that, being able, like you said, reaching people who may not be saved yet. We all got to remember that, like, how can we, if we only feel comfortable talking to Christians, how are we gonna get other people who don't believe to buy in? Like if those are the only people we trying to reach,
Exactly. So that's my way of, you got to find different ways to be fishers of men. So that's my way, one way of, throwing the fish out there and giving people some light. So
So the first thing I wanted to ask you are, what are some of the things that prevented you from even wanting to seriously live safe? Because for me, right, we go through this phase, like I got raised in church my whole life or whatnot, and I was out there, and even when I was doing my thing or doing wrong, even when I was doing wrong, I knew I was doing wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like in the back of my mind, it was like, you're wrong, but you just kind of block it out. And I feel like, what were some of the things that prevented you from being like, okay, I'm gonna take this seriously? Because I can still be myself and live for God. So what are some of the things that prevented you from even like deciding to like really get serious about your faith walk?
So I think everything that you mentioned, growing up in church, both of my parents are pastors. I'm a PK times 2, which is probably why I am the way that I am. Because what they say about PK kids, we got a bad rap. But so growing up in church and seeing, a lot of things that I saw, and I'm like, God, like this isn't, I don't want it. When I thought of ministry, I had this, narrow idea of what ministry is and what it meant to be, a Christian and saved. And I'm like, God, that's not me. Like I've always been into, like I said, acting. I've always been into like fashion and, Hollywood entertainment. And I'm like, I don't see anybody, dressing like me. I'm like, God, that's not me. I'm not called to the turtleneck, long jean skirt, kitten heel ministry. That's not me. So I'm like, what am I supposed? I didn't see anybody like me. I'm like, people talking like me.
Yeah.
Music wise, I'm like, I like, all types of music. So for me, I'm like, that's not me. That I ministry is not for me. So it wasn't until I got grown, I got on my own. Thank God, though, for my PK parents, because they did plant the seed. So when I got older and started having my own, experiences, and life has a way of kind of, knocking you down. And when God, met me actually where I was, and I realized, like, he's like, Brittany, like, I can use you. Like, I'm thinking, like, he can't use me because I don't see anybody that looks like me or acts like me or talks like me in church or in ministry. And I was like, I don't want to be a preacher. I don't want, nothing against it. But I'm like, I don't see myself as minister or apostle, Brittany.
Yeah.
But God was like, I can use you the way that you are. Like, I made you. I know you. I know I made you, crazy and unique and loud and whatever, but I made you like that for a reason. Because there's a group of women like you who may not feel like they fit in. And I want you to show them that God can still use you, sis, like in all your uniqueness.
Yeah.
That he can still use you, So that's when I had to have my little, come to Jesus moment. And he met me, where I was. And yeah, we've been rocking ever since.
You hit on some good stuff. I think one thing I want us to take away is that, or people to take away, is like you said, he met you where you were, like, and still with us, like he's still meeting us where we were. We've been in this thing and trying to walk it out and trying to live for him, and he's still meeting us where we are on a daily basis, because sometimes our attitude might get a little nasty. Sometimes, we are all a work in progress. And I think sometimes people are hesitant, or just the idea of having to be in that box that you talked about, like,
Mhm.
not seeing anybody who is, because everybody portray, a lot of people portrays to be perfect. I'm not gonna say everybody, because I do think there are some genuine people out here that
Right.
are getting it, but a lot of people portray to be perfect, but you don't never see the weaknesses or the
Mhm.
struggles or the doubts or anything like that kind of strengthen that faith along the way. And God is meeting people where they at. And I think that is, instead of allowing that to prevent you from giving God a chance, like, oh, there's no way I could do that or give this up. Girl, give him a chance. Give him a
Right.
chance right where you are. And I'm telling you, he'll start to change those desires and those things for you along the way, man.
And I think also once I realized that what I considered ministry, or the definition of ministry, was more than that. It's more than just a pulpit. Because like I said,
Mm,
I never saw myself as a minister. I'm like, I don't want to be in nobody pulpit. I don't want to be preaching sermons. I'm like, God, that's not me. I don't sound like this person. I don't sound like that person. But once I realized there's more ways to do ministry, that, making the funny videos, making people laugh, that's ministry.
yeah.
You're out here. If you have a business, and like, I say all the time, you do hair and you making somebody feel good, you encouraging your clients, like, that's ministry. Like, it's different ways to do ministry other than what we think of inside of the four walls of the church.
Britt, that's so good. Like, absolutely more than a pulpit. Like,
Mhm.
in reality, our whole life's supposed to be one. Like we
Right.
supposed to, and that's like the thing that gets me is like that's not just on Sundays. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of people can go and we can check that blog, but like Sunday through Sunday, or what about the middle of the week? And if that's all those things that you mentioned, like that is so much ministry. So much of it probably it really does happen when we leave the church, man. When we
Right.
leave the church, and he wants
Mhm.
us being ourselves all the
Right.
time.
All the time. Because my mama always said, sometimes you'll be the only Bible some people will ever read. Like,
Yeah.
some people may not step foot in the church. Some people may not, hear come hear a sermon. But like you said, it's all about your life and how you live,
Mm.
and showing them, you know, the light. So
Well, girl, you're getting me excited over here.
yeah.
So how did you realize? Let me say this. What it was it like trying to be somebody other than yourself? Like in those times where it's kind of like, we know that, we see all these things or the way God, ministry, we think ministry is supposed to look. And maybe God has a calling on your life and you try to do it a different way. Did you ever find yourself in a space where you were trying to do it like what you saw? And like if so, what was that like for you?
I don't think there's ever been a point where I tried to do ministry differently. If
Mm,
anything, like I said, it was just a point of I was super in the church, so I was made to go, and then it was a whole part where I wasn't.
yeah.
I stayed away from anything that looked like ministry or being called, because I knew I'm always been an authentic person. Like, I never could be fake.
Yeah.
So, even when other people will want me sometimes to do certain things and do certain, roles in certain positions, I'm like, that's not me. Like, I'm not gonna get up there, because I
Mm,
never. One thing about me, because I like how you mentioned earlier how even when you were out there sinning, like, you knew you were wrong. I've
mhm.
always been like that as well. And I always, like, I knew if I was out there, I wasn't gonna justify. I'm like, I just want to do what I want to do. And the same thing, came when it came with ministries, and I respected titles. So I'm like, I don't want to pretend. I don't want no, don't ordain me. Don't put me in no position as this. And I know I'm still living like that. Like, I
Yeah,
had enough respect for
yeah,
ministry and the titles and the positions to not want to, not be living like I should, or not really want to do it and, be inauthentic. I'm like, I can't do that. So
yeah.
yeah, it's been all or nothing.
Yeah, and I respect that so much. And I don't know if we realize that sometimes, like, when we get in those positions, and people, especially people who are not believers, when they look and they hear minister, they hear preacher, they're expecting like you to be able to walk on water. Now, even though we know that's not realistic, but
Right.
like to like take that on and to know that we ain't, I think we sometimes are doing more of a disservice to God than like, filling the position. Oh, well, I'm good at it. I'm charismatic. Maybe they'll like me. No, I'm the same way, Britt. It's like I want to be authentic. I want to be authentic, and you know, it just I feel like it works even better when you are
Right,
yourself. You know what I'm saying?
right,
And you real about falling short, or not being where you want to be, but striving to be there. So
right.
yeah. So yeah, I agree with that. So let's, ladies in the chat, get fellas, if we got some fellas in the chat, I want you guys to tell us, like, what is your form of ministry? Like, outside of the four walls, what do you guys do as ministry? What do you consider ministry for yourself? So tell us about that. I'm in the army. When I'm at work, I try to make sure I show people kindness.
Mhm.
Try my best to do that at home, you know what I'm saying, and get better and not be so frustrated with my kids, because I mean that's a big ministry too, y'all.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
you know. So, that's my form of ministry. And then, talking with teen girls and mentoring teen girls and women, and just connecting like this is my form of ministry. So share with us what you guys do and what you guys consider ministry outside the four walls. As you guys chat with us about that, I want us to get into culture. Okay, so when we think about culture, right, how we behave, what's going on in the world, the things that are popular, the things that are trending, and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to ask, do you think we should have an impact on culture as Christians? So
I,
yep.
oh, for me. Oh, I was asking the the viewers. No, I definitely feel like we should have an impact on the culture. Because again, it goes to back what we were saying earlier about ministry outside of the four walls of the church. Like
Yeah.
we should be influencing the culture. Like we have to be in, the entertainment industry. We have to be in business. We have to be in the healthcare field. Like we have to be in
Mm.
these different sectors if we want to reach, those that may not be again, in church. So I definitely think it's important. And that's one of my main goals. I always say is to bridge the gap between the church and the culture.
Yeah,
Because
and
culture
that's,
is
you said, because culture is everywhere.
yeah, we're always influenced by, the
Yeah.
culture. So
Yeah, I agree. We should lead the narrative as Christians. Yeah, and also, like, when I was thinking about culture too, I was also thinking about the fact that we can look at, as Christians, we can look at culture and what's going on in the world, and kind of tailor how we should be ministering, how we should be walking,
mhm,
how we should be sharing the love of Christ, and all these old biblical stories that have so much value in them. Like, finding a
mhm,
way to use that stuff to connect to what's going on in the culture. I think if we
exactly.
don't take the time to recognize what's going on in the culture, what's going on, whether it be good or bad, like, how can we reach people who are in the culture? Like, some people ain't coming to church. And then some
Mhm,
people feel like when they come to church, they see the same thing that they see out there. So I really think that when it comes to culture in the church, like, we have to do a better part at being in tune with what's going on out there. I'll give an example. My son is 13 years old, and if I was not aware, I don't listen to rap music and stuff, but every now and then I'll go and I'll read lyrics, or I'll sit him down and let him listen with me, and, like, get his input on, like, what do you really think about this? It's weird
mhm,
listening to me with it, huh? And
mhm,
talk to him about it. But if I didn't have any idea what was going on social media, or what was going on in music, or what was going on in the world, I would have almost no way to relate to him, because we can't shelter
exactly.
from it. And so,
Exactly.
yeah.
That makes so much sense. And we have to understand, like we said, culture is everywhere, especially for this younger generation. So it is important that we know what's going on, and who's popular, who's hot, and what they're listening to it, because this is what we have to compete with. Like, you're competing with the Cardi B's of the world. As much as we try to act like we don't, you competing with the meds, you competing
Yeah.
with the girls. So we have to, know what's going on. We have to move the culture, because we're trying to, we always try. I'm a realist. And as much as we try to act like, we don't, I know we're not supposed to be, we're in this world, but we're not of this world. We're still in this world, okay?
Yeah.
And try to tell a 16-year-old that shouldn't listen, you need to listen to this, this him, and not listen to Cardi B. But we have to make it appealing, if this is what we're competing. And that's why, like I said, even when it comes to to fashion and music and different things like that, we know there's certain standards that we have to have, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that we can't be cute, and we
Yeah.
can't be because like I said, these young people out here, this is who they're looking at. They're looking at the Rihannas, they're looking at the Beyoncés, and like, why can't I be fly? Why can't I have fun? Why can't? And we have to show them that all those things are possible. Even as saved, save girls and save boys. So it's definitely important to part of the culture.
Listen, look, I agree 100%.
Camel
Yes,
out.
Brittany, like how you talk on the women in the Bible, aka the woman at the
So
well.
can I?
Tell us about that. Tell the people about the woman at the well, Britt. I feel like the people need to be blessed with.
Okay, so that is one of the things. Okay, I said I try to bridge the gap, the culture with the kingdom. So when I talked about the woman at the well, I call her the Samaritan city girl. Okay, because she was out here, 4 or 5 husbands been shacking up, and I said how the city girls get flued out. Well, back then you get flued out, so your girl was probably getting cameled out. Like they was sending camels for her and sending her, where she needed to go. So she was going. But I like to make this stuff relatable because I'm like when I'm talking to the younger, generation, I'm like, they don't know these stories. They don't know the Samaritan woman. They may not know the woman at the well, but they know who the city girls are. So you can relate. She was the OG. She was the original city girl. Okay. Like she was, yeah. Yeah. The men, 4 or 5 husbands shacking up. But I always tell that I love that story because to me, that's a perfect example of how we're supposed to love. Because when Jesus met her, first of all, he met her at her well. He met her at her broken place. He met her where she was. And if you know the story, I don't want to go off preaching it, into the whole Bible lesson. But if you know the story, like he wasn't even supposed to be dealing with her because she was a Samaritan city girl. Okay. People didn't deal with her because of her reputation and because she was Samaritan and she was a woman. Jesus literally went out his way in his travels to go and to meet this woman at a well where the people, her own town people didn't deal with her, which is why she was at the well in the first place in the hottest time of the day, because she was already, shunned by them. But Jesus sat here, met her at her well, met her at her thirstiest, because the girl was thirsty, literally and figuratively, okay? She came from thirsty because she was going through men. How many of us, that's been our testimony? Let's not try to act like we ain't been thirsty before. Okay?
Come on, preach.
She was literally thirsty, okay? But Jesus offered her, he said, I have some living water, so you'll never thirst again. All right. And I love how he always approached with love. She was used to being dragged. She was used to being talked about. But Jesus came with his love and approach. And when she left, she literally went and evangelized. She's like, come see a man. Like she had many men. She was used to men, but she was like, this man was different. And she left. It was an encounter. So I love how Jesus always had encounters with the lowest of the low, the people that nobody wanted to deal with. He had encounters. They didn't feel forced. He didn't beat them over the head. He didn't say, you're going to hell. You better da 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 da. No, he always led with love, and it was always an encounter, and they always left differently than the way that they came. So but yeah, in a nutshell, that's what I always try to relate it. So yeah, she was the OG city girl before the city girl was a thing.
Yeah, Britt, that the way that's a gift. I just want to acknowledge the gift to be able to do that. Like cameled out. Somebody said hashtag cameled out. Like, are you even popping if you didn't get, you know what I'm saying?
If you didn't get cameled out, like your girl, she was getting cameled out.
Right.
And the original. Period. Like period before the yes.
And it's like you said so much good stuff, and it's like, and that's biblical. You know what I mean? Like the fact that we be out here and then God meets us right where, goes out of his way to meet us right where we are. And then, that's probably one of the reasons why it's hard for me not to talk about him. Like hard for me, you know what I'm saying? Knowing what he done did with my raggedy self and how he done changed things for me. You know what I mean? And so the way you were able to share that can reach some people, because people want to know, like, look, yeah, you done been through some things, but God still loves you and he can meet you right where you are.
He has a history of using those people. That's why I always, most of the time when I have events or I'm preaching, it's usually on women like that, like the woman at the well. When I had my brunch, we talked about the woman with the alabaster box. Like these are the type of women, Rahab. Like these are the type of women that he had. Leah, I could go on and on, but these are the type of women that he had encounters with. These are
Yeah.
the type of women that he used throughout the Bible. And I like to use their stories because I feel like so many women can relate to that.
Yeah.
Like, just thousands of years ago, like I said, with the woman at the well. Like, how many of us have been man to man to man to man to man, looking for somebody to love us? How many of us have been like, Aaliyah, like you're looking for somebody to love you? I'm gonna have this baby, I'm gonna have this baby, I'm gonna have that baby because I'm hoping that this man gonna love me. How many of us have been like, truth be told, a Rahab, like using what you got to get what you want? Like, people see the Bible and they're like, oh, this is old, like this is not, I can't. But when you take these stories and you look at it for what they really are, and
Yeah.
you see that the people that God, that he had these encounters with, these
Yeah.
are the women that he used. Like, I'm like, it makes you think like, okay, you know what? He can still use me. If he can use a prostitute like Rahab,
There's
he
hope for me.
girl, there's hope for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, biblical thought. Like, it's hope for you, sis.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just, yeah, it's just trying to make it real and relatable.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. It's just such a testament of like the God that we serve, man. Yeah, he can still use us, ladies. Women today are going through the same things. They are, and a lot of them aren't getting these stories. They aren't getting somebody to talk to them, to tell them that about Jesus, going to him, and you ain't gotta do that again. He'll take that
Mhm.
desire away from you because we don't know, everything. And that's one of the things in culture too. A lot of things in culture that seem so attractive and all these things are telling them the complete opposite. Oh, he didn't do it for you. Go to the next one. Oh,
Mhm.
he wasn't it. That's all right. There's another one out there. Move on. Keep it going. And then it just becomes a cycle. And before you know it, the devil got us out here and we don't even realize how he's got us all entangled and stuff, and got our minds
Entanglement.
got our minds all messed up. So I really, I really respect that. Yeah, ladies, everybody's feeling it, Brie. Everybody is, we know, and I'm hoping that this will encourage you guys to share. I was listening to a sermon. I'm always listening to a sermon from this guy. He is always talking on some good stuff. But Bishop Eric Davis from South Carolina, Word of God Ministries, y'all check him out. He goes in. But he was just talking about like so many of our daughters could be saved if we as Christian women would be willing to tell our testimony. If we would be willing to open up and tell them how we were before we got saved, or before
Yeah.
the Lord did this marvelous work or is doing this marvelous work on us, and let them know like our stories instead of trying to portray like we're perfect.
Mhm.
um and just being honest. And so hopefully this is encouraging you guys to, I'm not saying you gotta blast your business all over the web, sis. You ain't gotta be on the www. All you gotta do is those girls that are within reach of you, the girls at your local high schools, little small groups, your sisters, your
Your
nieces.
cousins, yeah.
Take
Start with your circle. Start
Yeah.
with your circle. And like you said, it's so much power in your testimony and your transparency. Because like you said, a lot of women do, feel alone. A lot of girls do feel like, this is only me. I don't know. Because a lot of times we do put up this front, like I've been saved all my life, or I've been perfect.
Mm,
Or, you're told that once you do this, you're going too far. It's no coming back. And
yeah.
so, if we, as older, more mature women, would have these conversations, these real life conversations, like, look, I've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. Now,
Mm,
let me show you, let me be honest with you as to why you shouldn't do this.
yeah.
That may cause them not to make some of the same decisions and, mistakes that we've been through.
Yeah. The same guy was saying, oh, we'll get into that next. The next thing I want to kind of transition to, and this one is y'all, and when we're talking, we're not trying to put anybody down. We gotta have these conversations. They may be a little bit uncomfortable, but we just have to be real about some things God does expect of us. He expects more of us, and when we represent him out here. So I'm hoping and praying, and we've already prayed that it will fall on good ground and it won't be
Mhm.
taken offensively. So I want to talk about this, and y'all can chime in too. Do you think there should be a difference in how we live as Christians versus in the world? And how can those negative differences, how can we navigate those differences without making people feel judgmental? Sometimes when we get to talking about what God expects of us, you get to feeling like, oh, like, oh, you talking about me, or somebody's putting you down because he has a little bit higher standard than we may be used to. So I guess I kind of want to know, like, do you feel like there's a difference, and should that make people feel less than when we try to uphold that standard that God has set for us? How we navigate that?
Um, no, I of course I believe that there's certain standards that we should have, as Christians. But again, I feel like it always goes back to my point earlier, leading in love.
Yep.
Even when it comes to, voicing our opinions, or saying, certain things, it should always come from a place of love. I feel like a lot of times, and we've seen this with certain things that have happened, with the body of Christ, not just the body of Christ, but with, even also both sides of, situations. There's a lot of judgmental, things that come out, and a lot of, anger, and, things that are worded, not necessarily the, most Christ-like. So I feel like we always have to lead, in love. And I feel like, I think we were having this conversation, like, at the end of the day, I can say, how, what I feel like is, God, the standard God is holding me to, what the Bible is saying. But at the end of the day, the Holy Spirit has come. Like, I refuse to go back and forth with people.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, I'm not going to give up my peace. So I feel like we have to, of course, uphold this standard, but we have to let the Holy Spirit, do the convicting. Like, and it's not to, put anybody down, judge anybody, but this is what the word says, this is how, you're supposed to live. And then that's on, the Holy Spirit to, or, Jesus said, like we said, the woman to what, to have the encounter with you, and to
Yeah.
have him, do the changing. Like,
Yeah.
that's not our job. And again, I feel like our lives should be the biggest testament. So
Yeah. I
yeah.
agree. I agree. I think that sometimes it can we have to share and be hold fast to what he does, what he expects of us and things like that. But like you said, at the end of the day, people have to receive it. Like, first time I came to church, like, I wasn't trying to like let go of everything, like, but I really respect and appreciate those women who upheld that standard, who I
Mhm.
saw, like you said, like, in their life, I saw their life, them doing things differently. And when you put yourself in circles like that, when you are around women who do things a little bit differently, it makes you want to come up a little bit. It makes you want to do things a little bit different when you see it being done genuinely. Like, I think somebody just said on here, plant the seed, even if we aren't the one to water it. I think you said that
Exactly. So we
earlier,
talked
Britt.
about, yep, we talked about that. Like, sometimes, like, in with when I deal with, people that aren't saved, or of different, religions,
Mm-hmm.
again, my approach is always lead in love. I'm not gonna beat you over the head. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna condemn you to hell. I'm gonna always, of course, if you want me to pray for you or give you scriptures, but I'm gonna always be myself. And I'm always gonna throw God in there somewhere. And eventually, I believe, I plant those seeds. Even if I'm not the one to convert you that day, that seed has been planted. And
Yeah.
then God will send somebody else to water it. So
Yeah. I agree. I agree. And I got a few comments over here. I was super transparent with her so she don't make the same mistakes that I do. Um I feel like a lot of people feel offended when it pertains to them. Sometimes the truth hurts and will have people in their feelings. It's true. And then it goes back to, like you said, Britt, leading with love. Um you just, some stuff you just don't want to hear. Like, like, especially when your mind is made up by like, this who I am and this is what I want to do. Like, you don't want to hear. And so that seed being planted is what we got to do. Most definitely has to be a difference in standards, a different standard, because if there is not, what is the true purpose? Because if there is not, what is the true purpose, but yet done in love, which is how God drew us. It was his very own goodness, therefore do it all in love. Yeah. Plant the seed even if it doesn't grow. People just agreeing, right, in love. How many of y'all have had it not done in love? Now, I think there is a me too. How many of y'all have it not done in love, especially back in the day? Like, they was kind of
church mothers,
rough.
baby, listen, because I've always been extra. I was a child with makeup and hair and stuff, and yeah, just going like, yeah, them
Yeah,
church mothers don't play.
yeah.
So
And I like I was saying, I think that there is a difference. Like, at some point, some point is we have to acknowledge that, yeah, some of it is going to hurt, and sometimes we have to be sad. But I think like we have to be okay with maybe that not being our thing. Like me, I love conversing. Like we can have two different opinions and we can go back and forth, and we can do it. That ain't for everybody. For some people, like, no, that ain't me. And then some people, I'm gonna contend for the faith. Like I feel like he may have given you that gift, and you have to know if that's not your thing, if that's not what he's called you to do. We have to use wisdom, and some things just bow out. Like, nope, okay.
And, look, and that goes for even individual situations. Like, use wisdom and let the Holy Spirit guide you.
Yeah.
Like, every person ain't meant for you to confront and try to tell them. Like, she knows she pregnant and she had said, but is that for you to go? Are you the one that's supposed to? Did God tell you to go? And like, sometimes we have to use wisdom, and it's not meant for us to, like you said, every battle is not our battle. Every person is not meant, especially if we know we're not gonna go in love. Yeah. Like, if you just going to get that person straight and tell them, what they did wrong, like you said, maybe this is not for you. Let somebody else, be the one to minister to them. So yeah, every person is not your assignment. Correct.
Yeah. They had no filters, and I think that might push people away. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that may be one of the things that push people away. So we really have to be careful. Like, I know some people, I don't care what people think of me. No, we have to care what people think of me. At the end of the day, like God gonna convict you when you out here being reckless with your approach and your saving people and all this. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna convict you when you know you're wrong, and we have to be open and wise. Church ladies are nice sometimes. Who wants to be remembered as the old mean church lady? You know what I'm saying? And maybe the one that kept somebody from not being on a journey.
They don't love nobody but Jesus. And like, that's not, God said, what is the first one? Love God. That's the first commandment. And then love your neighbor as yourself. If you only out here loving Jesus, then ma'am, you're not doing something right.
Right. And that's so good because, in reality, God is kind of easy. Jesus is kind of easy to love. He ain't here. He ain't getting on your nerves. He's not testing your patience. He's not disagreeing with you. He's easy to love. And I think sometimes as Christians, we like to isolate ourselves and not deal with people at all and just be in love with Jesus. And that really ain't what he done called us to out here, y'all. Like, we got to do better. Yeah. Good. You use that as a way to overcome it. Yes, every person is not your assignment. Ladies, y'all are giving us the comments tonight. We are in the building, sharing the truth and just hopefully helping each other out. Because not only is this important for us, but if you got kids, it's important for them too, because our walk is influencing their walk possibly. So we have to just really be intentional about it. Okay, I think I got one more question. Okay, so the one thing I wanted to make sure I touched on was the fact that it's hard for Christians to equip other Christians. When we're talking about culture, y'all, it's hard for Christians to equip other Christians or non-believers to survive the world if we are afraid to address the things that the world is experiencing. If you're afraid to talk about sex, if you're afraid to talk about drinking and smoking and all the things that can kind of sometimes in excess can lead us down the path that we don't need to be on. If you're afraid to talk to people about that kind of stuff, how can we equip them, you guys? So tonight, just one thing I would like for you guys to leave here thinking about is man, am my walk and the people that I influence, am I equipping them to be able to handle what's going on in 2022 in this culture? Am I equipping them to be able to stand for Christ or to serve Christ? You know what I'm saying? Or to show him in this world? Or am I just so holy that I'm not, any earthly good? So that pastor, when we was talking about last thing on that other one, we was talking about being an example. He said he had everybody at the end of the service saying, I ain't no hoe. I ain't no hoe. Girl, I was standing too. I ain't no hoe. He was saying the world has enough hoes. God needs us to be holy.
Right.
And that was good for me. And I think and holy, it can be defined as different. I think sometimes it can be looked at as negative because it's like, oh, you got to
Mm-hmm.
be perfect. It's
Right.
not like you ain't got to be perfect. Striving to do things his way, I think is holy. So I wanted to throw that out there. We ain't no hoes. And I think that we need to be proud of that, y'all. We need to be proud of that. And we need to so girls, it is okay to be holy and to strive for holiness and try to live the way God wants us to. Rebecca said we have to talk about
Never.
was done a disservice to the people of God for way too long. I agree, Rebecca. I agree. All right, Britt. Last question of the night. How have you used your authenticity and culture to share Christ? I think we got into it a little bit, but I kind of want to hear about Save Girl Summer and how this came along. How have you just kind of embraced who you are to kind of show up and serve Christ in your own authentic way?
Cool. So, Save Girl Summer, I always say it started out as a joke, which now I see now it wasn't a joke. It's like a whole vision that God has given me. But I made a random comment on a podcast, Sarah J. Roberts podcast, and they were talking about Hot Girl Summer. And I was like, oh, we will have a Save Girl Summer. And she read it, and from there made a whole manual, ended up being a guest. And to me, it's become a whole movement. I say for my holy hot girls, but the girls we righteous but a little bit of ratchet, but pretty much for the girls that never felt like they belonged again in ministry. And that comes from my whole experience growing up, not feeling like I really belonged, in church, getting grown, going in the world, living what I thought was my best life for a couple of years, and God literally meeting me, where I was and having to, remind me that he can use me in, just as I am. So I want to show, other women that you can still be out here. We can still have a good time. You can still have
Yeah,
fun. You can still laugh. You can still be cute. Cause I say we out here serving God while serving looks, like all of that. You can still have your career. You can still have it all. You don't have to give up. Like life doesn't end once you give your life up to Christ. Okay.
right.
Like, life
That's a
still
lie.
it gets better. So that's where I'm at with the movement. And I like to, again, like I'm bridging that gap that between the church and the culture. So the whole name, when you hear it say girl summer, of course you automatically think like, man, hot girl summer. And I'm like, we can't have a hot girl summer, not anymore. There was a time, because I said I'm transparent. Like I was the
Yeah,
OG Meg when Meg was still a pony baby. Like I was the OG hot girl. So I've been there, done that. And I'm like, I can't do that no more. I'm married with kids and I'm saved. But I'm
yeah,
like, we can still have a Save Girl Summer, and we can still
yeah,
be out here, living our best lives and having brunching and Bible studying and, beaching and, looking cute and doing all the things. So
yeah.
that's yeah. That's
Y'all, don't be deceived out here by the enemy. Don't be out here thinking that saved girls are not enjoying life. Like we ain't brunching and looking cute and doing what we enjoy. Like, I mean, and my thing is, I be thinking back sometimes, like, man, like I said, I really thought I was living my best life back in the day. And when I was living what I thought was my best life, like I was doing it. Like, oh, Whitney, the life of the party. Like, I was the life of the party. Okay.
Listen, like I said, I've been there. The hot girls before this hot girls, like back in the hot boys, like what you need would be a hot girl, like Cash Money hot girls, like that was my era. But yeah, out there, just what I thought was living my best life, having a good time, doing all the things that I feel like I couldn't do for the first 18 years of my life.
Yeah.
So I feel like I had to kind of make up for it in
Yeah.
those college years. And get it all out the way before I called myself. I said I would get saved at 40. That's what I promised my mom. I'm like, just let me get these couple years
40.
fun out. Because once you get married, once you get saved, you can't have fun no more. Like that's what my mindset
Yeah.
was. Like that's what I
Yeah.
told her. But then I realized, like, yeah, I can still have fun, and I can still be, cute, and I can still be hot. We gotta stop being afraid of this. I say, holy hot girls. People like, oh my God, yes, I'm still hot. Like my husband, I was hot when my husband got me, and I'm gonna continue to be hot.
You
You know,
better.
keep his hair turning. Yes, like if I'm gonna compete with these, unsaved girls, they're gonna be like, okay, like we have to stop being like they're scared of these days. Like, yes, it's
Yeah.
okay. So, and I'm married. I'm a sexy saint, but I'm a married saint, so that's okay. I'm saying with my husband.
Yeah.
So, like we have to, stop boxing in what it means to, to be
Yeah.
a same girl. So yeah.
I agree 100%, girl. Like you can find your own way of doing things. Like I don't be having it all out, but girl, you cannot tell me I don't be cute. Like and it be and everybody has their different styles or whatnot, but you can't tell me I don't. I be feeling myself, okay? I'm
Exactly. As you
saved,
should.
and as I should, and I be feeling myself, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And my husband enjoys it. I enjoy it, and I feel good being able to do things for myself, feel good about myself, take care of my body, all of those things. And so I just want y'all to know that we living our best lives out here. What we thought was our best lives was not our best lives. We was deceived. Okay. And so
Yeah.
now we enjoying it, and we want you guys to know the same thing. Like there is so much joy over here. There's peace over here. There's struggles over here. There's hard times over here. But girl, guess what? We be bouncing back with Jesus Christ. And so I had to have Brittany on here. Look, I have enjoyed talking to you. It's like a
Yes,
sisterhood.
me too. I have. It's been so easy.
Yes. And
Having girls out.
yeah, and thank you guys so much for getting right in and commenting with us. Everybody over here talking about living their best life and save life, and we enjoying life. So if you have not been encouraged, I want to encourage you to get connected with somebody who that you see may be doing things a little bit different than everybody else. Figure out what's going on with them. What's the reason for that joy they have? What's the reason for them not doing things like they used to do things? And hopefully they'll be able to encourage you, and ultimately God will be able to help you join this Christian journey. Brittany, you
Yeah.
got anything that you would like to share? I want you to tell us about the Save Girl Summer brunch that you have going on. Tell us a little bit about that for the people who are here in Virginia, because I already got my ticket. Okay.
So thank you. So it's coming up. It's gonna be August 13th. It's right a couple of days after my birthday. But it's the second annual Save Girl Summer Brunch. Our theme is Save Girls taking over for the 99 and the 2000s, y'all. So I told y'all that was my error. I said we have 80s parties, we have 90s parties, but nobody is having anything for us, late 90s, early 2000 babies. So of course, I want everybody to dress up with your baby fat, apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur, all that good stuff. But really, it's just a good time for Save Girls to come together and just have fun. I feel like there's a need there. Usually either we're going to conferences or, church services. And then you have the other side where, just worldly events, parties. So I want to kind of have something where we can just come together and have a good time. So we're going to have a DJ. We're going to have a karaoke, dance competition. And then I always end up having a word. And this year, the word is going to be about Leah and Rachel, my girl Leah. I love Leah. And I call them the biblical Brandy and Monica, because the Jacob is mine. They're fighting over this one husband. Yes, the Bible is, y'all don't understand. It was a lot of biblical baby mama drama in the Bible. People don't understand, but
They gonna know, sis. They gonna know.
So that is the theme. We're going to be talking about that, using their, the examples of their lives and seeing yourself the way God sees you. So that's coming up in August. Tickets are still on sale. It'll come with brunch. Like I said, we're going to have music, we're going to have a DJ, all that good stuff, and just have a really, really good time. And I just want to thank you for having me on here tonight. This was really, really fun. I really enjoyed it.
Same girl. I can't stop smiling. I'm ready. Somebody over here said, they said, "Shawty, get low, low, low." We talking about praying, y'all. We getting low, low, low. We getting down low.
Low for Jesus. Now I can't get back up no more like I used to. You got no med. Listen.
Yes. Listen, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. You can go to Brittany, is it www.savegirlsummer.com for more information?
SaveGirlSummer.com for more information. That has, like I said, ticket information, just more information about the organization, things we've done, things we got coming up. You can also follow us on Facebook, SaveGirlSummer.com, Instagram, SaveGirl_summer. And that's that's all our information. So yeah.
I'll be sure to link everything in the description or in the comments so you guys can go and check the link and then go get your ticket if you're in Virginia to come hang out with us. Also, Brittany, tell me about your podcast. You have a podcast that's available on Apple, Spotify, Anchor.
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
Save Girl Sessions. So, and pretty much that's just again just trying to shed a light on ministry outside of the four walls. So we're talking about things that we normally don't like to talk about, or things we wish we would have talked about more, growing up in the church. So, stuff like sex and money and, business and things like that, as well as having what I call other Save Girl bosses. So these are women that are doing ministry outside of the pulpit. So, yep, you can find that on all, Save Girl Sessions podcast. And yeah, again, thank you. This has been so great. And for anybody listening, I just want to encourage you, like, just be yourself. If this doesn't prove anything, else, I hope this conversation touched your heart. To be yourself, know that God can still use you, sis. Like, with all your quirks, personality, whatever makes you different, like, God made you that way for a reason. So somebody is waiting on you to come out of your shell and be you, so they can. So
Thank you, ladies. Make sure y'all head over to www.womanintentionally.com for more information about my podcast. It is being sponsored tonight by Solid Jewels Co. Watches will be dropping in a few days. I have all types of gold jewelry that is water resistant, tarnish free for your summer needs. Okay, I got you. So make sure you guys head over to solidjewelsco.com and share this podcast with somebody you think may need to be encouraged. We love you guys and thank y'all. Bye now. Bye now.
Good night.